Hello, my name is Ian Webster. I'm Field Segment Manager for the Hygienic Processing Industries here at Burkett Fluid Control Systems in the UK. And today I'd like to talk to you about the 8681 control head, which is a control head to fit onto third-party hygienic valves, such as single-seat valves, double-seat, mix-proof, but also quarter-turn ball and butterfly valves that have linear stainless steel actuators. These valves are used extensively in the hygienic processing industries such as the food and beverage, breweries, dairies, pharmaceutical and personal healthcare industries. This control head has one big advantage. It can be fitted to anybody's valve. It has a universal adapter which allows it to be fitted to any actuator that's currently on the market. The control head completes our range of decentralized process automation used in the hygienic process industries. It comes complete with a full range of communication networks such as ASI and DeviceNet. It has a robust polycarbonate and polyamide housing that is IP65 and IP67, so it can be washed down and cleaned safely. On the front we have the pneumatic connections with connections for the air supply and the exhaust, and then the 3 pneumatic connections to the actuator. On the reverse side we have the cable connections, which can be cable glands as we see here, or multi-pin connections. The control head can be used with actuators with 3 actuation chambers, which means that it can control not only single seat valves and double seat valves, but also 3 position valves and mix-proof valves. If we remove the top from the control head, we see the 3-colour ultra-bright LED position and status indicator. Also the contactless position measuring system. The control head has up to 3 pilot solenoid valves to control the actuator. Each solenoid valve has a manual override lever which can be operated to open and close the valve manually. In addition, each solenoid valve has flow restrictors on the pressure inlet and exhaust, which means that the opening and closing of the actuator can be controlled. On the reverse, we have the electrical module, which has the cable connectors plus a service interface, dip switches to control the colours of the LEDs, and also 3 buttons for the teach-in for the actual position feedback. When we come to the installation of the control head on the process valve, it is very simple. On the circuit board we have 3 buttons marked T1, T2 and T3. These are the teach-in buttons that set up the positioning for the LED display and the electrical feedback. To start with, we place the actuator at its lowest position and press and hold button T1 for 1.5 seconds. You will see that the light flashes 3 times. When that happens, the memory of that position is stored in the device. To go to the open position, we position the actuator at its maximum position and press the T2 button, again for 1.5 seconds. Once more, the LED flashes 3 times so that the position is then stored. If the actuator is a 3-position actuator, we simply put the actuator in its mid position and press T3 again for 1.5 seconds. There you will see again the LED flashes 3 times. When it's in its mid position, the LED flashes on and off. If it is a mix-proof valve which has a middle, upper and lower seat, then when the lower seat is open, the LED flashes quickly, and when the upper seat is open, the LED flashes more slowly. When it comes to setup and maintenance, the circuit board has a service interface. This allows you to connect a USB device to it for a connection directly to a PC. There is also a Bluetooth interface that allows you to connect it to a smartphone. This means that you can set the valve up remotely, you can get device data, such as the number of cycles that the valve has done, and you can actually open and close the valve manually and set up the teach-in functions. We may want to open or close the valve manually. We can do this by using this patented magnetic tool. Simply by touching the tool against these 2 ports on the side of the control head, we can open the valve manually, and you will see that the LED is now flashing with a red LED. This is very important because we may want to open up the valve manually without accessing the inside of the control head. To close the valve, simply put the key back onto the side of the control head and the valve closes again. The 8681 control head has an anti-condensation feature. By routing some of the exhausted instrument air from the actuator into the control head to give it a slight overpressure, it prevents the ingress of moisture into the control head, This prevents condensation from forming on the electrical components. The ultra-bright LEDs are a very useful feature. When you have a lot of valves in a process plant, it's very useful to be able to see the status of the valve, whether the valve is open or whether the valve is closed. If the situation is that the valve should be open and one of the LEDs is showing that the valve is closed, this is very useful because you can see it from a long distance, and then the engineers can do maintenance or whatever is required to make sure that that valve is operating properly. In conclusion, the 8681 has some very useful features. The fact that it can be fitted to anybody's third-party hygienic process valve, it makes it very flexible. The ultra-bright LEDs make the process situation and status very visible from a long distance. The teaching functions for the feedback also make the valve very easy to set up. The fact that it can be connected to a wide range of networks such as ASIAN DeviceNet, and that it can be opened externally with a magnetic tool, all of these are important features that can be useful in a hygienic processing application.